this is my opportunity. Talking about discomfort, right? He's making me feel really uncomfortable. But if I react to this and I get mad, that's what he wants, because now I'm over emotional and I've lost control and he's winning. He's going to ask me a bunch of these shitty little asshole questions, and I am going to make for damn sure I have the answer to every one he asks me and more, so that the next time it happens, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to disarm them with my knowledge. The longest ever leg of a race was 32 days.
Jesus. Like on a boat with people in a place where you cannot go anywhere and hide. Like you get no alone time.
No alone time.
Like,
this is like where you really have, this is what, talking of discomfort, like it's such a great example of, like, no matter how shitty your day is on land, if you have a bad day in the office or your kids are driving you nuts or whatever, in general, you can go outside for 5 minutes, or maybe you go to the gym to take it out on some weights, or some people go to the bar, but you can escape your environment that's causing you grief.
Yeah.
When you're on a boat, you get off and you die. Like, but I walked into this CrossFit gym and I was like, what the fuck happens here?
Yes. Thank you for coming on today.
Of course.
Hannah Jenner. I met her through CrossFit, and she is a CrossFit Level 3 coach, and she is head coach at CrossFit Santa Barbara.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right, Hannah. What does discomfort required mean to you?
Well, I, throughout the years, have become a big fan of discomfort. If that sounds weird, then good. We all know that, like, humans are hardwired to seek comfort, to seek pleasure. That's why we all love to sit on a couch and eat sugar and do stuff like that, because it's easy and it's comfortable and makes us feel warm and fuzzy. And it's probably the reason that the human race exists, because we have sought shelter and comfort. However, we don't learn a lot there in these places where we're like cozy and safe. We tend to learn when we are in situations, where we're in places where we are quite uncomfortable. And I love to learn. I love to grow. I don't always, I say I love to be in these places. Like, in the moment, it's not fun, right?
Yeah.
Discomfort's not enjoyable. It's kind of like, ugh.
That's true.
But it's where we learn a lot about ourselves. It's where we learn a lot about other people.
Yeah.
And it's where we get the opportunity to be creative and think outside of the box and kind of add tools to our personal toolkit, so that the next time we're in a similar situation, it doesn't need to be as uncomfortable.
That's very true. I dig that. So we're going to get into your whole story, and I love this. This is so cool. I didn't realize that you sailed around the world a couple times until I listened to your TEDx talk, right? So let's start with where you're at now, and then let's go back to the beginning, and then we're going to go through it from there.
Okay. Well, I am probably now, having just said discomfort, in too much of a comfortable zone in my life. And I'm kind of getting that, like, ready to scratch an itch of making myself uncomfortable again. But I live in Santa Barbara. I'm going to be 46 this year, which is very uncomfortable to say that. I wear multiple hats right now. So I have a full-time job as a project manager. And then I also am head coach at CrossFit Santa Barbara. And I am a nutrition coach, or I like to call it more like lifestyle coaching, because it goes beyond the scope of just nutrition. So wear multiple hats. My goal is to hopefully one day be able to make coaching in person, online, all different kind of formats, like physical coaching, CrossFit coaching, as well as all like the lifestyle and nutrition. I recently just qualified as a menopause coach too.
Way to
to
go.
make that my full-time gig.
Yeah.
Living in Santa Barbara, that's a little tricky because it's kind of pricey down here, but we'll see. We will see.
That is exactly how Seattle is. Seattle is ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
I'm pretty lucky that I just chose to do this and I didn't turn back, which was a really, really, really hard decision.
Yeah.
You can do it. I believe in you, and if you need any help with it, I'm here. Um, uh, when I came to Seattle, I came here without knowing literally anybody. Like, I knew barely knew 3 people, and it was for a job opportunity to, become, part owner of a gym, which was super great and learned a lot of lessons. And, if you want to become an online coach or coach people in person or just be a coach full time, it is 100% possible. You just gotta just kinda go for it. Hope for the
I
best.
mean, my husband and I have been talking recently because I'm from England originally. We've been kind of talking about the possibility of maybe going back there sometime and, having already moved country and I've bounced around all over the world and gone through that process of showing up somewhere where you know nobody. And then you've got to find your friend group and you've got to find the area that you're going to call home. And it's a lot. There's a lot of energy, but it's also kind of invigorating.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely starting to feel like something some change or something big or something scary
Mhm.
is on the horizon, but I'm ready for it.
I love that for sure. So, if you were gonna get what do you think you would do right now if you had you had enough money, you could do whatever you want? What do you think that you would do to be, what's this big thing that would be coming?
I if financial security was, there, all
Mhm,
nice, like didn't have to worry about paying the mortgage, I would quit the day job
mhm,
and really dive into how to build my coaching business, like how who's really my audience, who excites me, who do I want to coach, who do I feel that I can help the best,
mhm,
and then pull together a team of people that can help me do that thing. Because things like social media, I mean, I'll scroll through Instagram and stuff, but content creation is just it's a full-time job,
yeah,
right?
that's a
If
nightmare.
and it's like I love great social media content, but I don't wanna have to think about making it.
Mhm,
So, like, if I had somebody who could that's one thing that I found so far, like, coaching for me has been or, like, certainly the nutrition stuff, which is my own little business.
mhm,
That, as a solo venture, has been great and fun, and I love it, and I get so much energy from coaching people, but I love working with a team.
that's
And I think that's something that, I need to find my team
okay,
to be able to take this to the next level. Like people I can bounce ideas off and who have other skill sets that complement mine and mine complement theirs.
mhm.
And so we can kind of create something cool together.
I love that. That's awesome. Um, would you do it in Santa Barbara, or would you do it somewhere else?
I think, I mean, I love Santa Barbara and I'm not like in a rush to leave, but I'm also open to being in a new place for a new
Okay.
adventure.
Yeah, I love me some adventures. If I would go back to Santa Barbara in a heartbeat. I miss 70
You're
degrees.
from here, right? Were you born
Well,
here or?
I grew up in, Lompoc and then,
Mhm.
lived in Santa Barbara, lived in, Santa Maria, Orchid, all over the place and just on the Central Coast. But spent so much time in Santa Barbara and, uh, yeah, I just miss it. It's 72 degrees all the time, right? And then when it's cold, it's
Right.
55, and it'll rain, 12 days a year. Um, and then I
Yep.
ended up in Seattle. And it is cold and wet, but we're plotting our escape. So, me and my fiance, you met Chelsea,
Mhm.
we're talking about right after we get married, figuring out where we're gonna go and somewhere we're both gonna thrive, right? Because Seattle, I'm not thriving here. That's just facts. There's not enough
Do you
sun.
have ideas of where you'd like to go?
I think we're talking about Tennessee, thinking about
Okay.
Colorado. We got to plan 2 trips. So, we decided we're not gonna compete as much this year because we
Mhm.
have to, go check these places out, right? So, we're gonna check out, a couple places in Tennessee because, my goal, 5-year goal would be to be able to buy some land, right? You
Nice.
just went to CrossFit Mayhem. I'm gonna have a
Yeah.
quarter CrossFit Mayhem. It's just gonna be a barn that's, a quarter the size, and it's gonna have a dope gym, and then there's gonna be some Highland cows running around, and,
I
yes.
love Highland cows.
And chickens, and so many chickens. It's gonna be dope. And then we're gonna check out Colorado. I love Colorado. People there are nice, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we've talked about Colorado, and we've talked about Richmond, Virginia.
Okay, that's random.
Mostly because they have really nice well, I think, my husband, he's a photographer, so he was looking at places where, it's good for creative people to be based
Mhm.
and where, like, it's a lot of up and coming businesses, and they've got really nice houses out there for very reasonable prices.
Very
And then
reasonable.
also, the commute back to England to see my family becomes, like, almost 3 hours shorter, which is kinda nice.
Well,
But
yeah, for
who
sure.
knows? Who
Get
knows
well,
what's gonna happen?
at least 3 hours shorter, right? Because I mean, you have layovers and like however long you're sitting there waiting around and all that stuff.
So, yeah, but I feel it's kinda nice to feel like there's some adventure on the horizon, and I'm not sure what it is, but
I dig
it'll
it.
be out there.
Um, so let's talk about before sailing and what got you into sailing.
So, it's definitely not a typical story. I did not grow up sailing all of the time.
Right.
I was born in south of London, lived there till I was about 8, and then we moved up to a place called Shropshire, which is, for anybody who knows England, it's north of Birmingham and right next to Wales, so it's kind of out in the countryside.
Okay.
Definitely no sailing happens out there. Uh, but in the summer times, my family and another family with 2 young kids, we'd go to France, and the dads would go sailing, and we'd be, like, windsurfing or playing around in little boats, and I was always like, "This is kind of fun, cool," but never it was never on the radar to be anything other than something I did on summer holidays.
Okay.
Um, and my dad worked for British Telecom, which was, kinda like AT&T, I guess.
Okay.
They sponsored this round the world sailboat race. So it had professional captains on board and then it had amateur crew. So you could pay to be a part of this adventure. And he'd always dreamed about being like, because his company was sponsoring it, they could apply to try and get on a leg of the race.
Uh-huh.
And he'd always apply every time the race was on. And we had the book about that race on our coffee table at
Okay.
home. And when I was in my teens, unfortunately, this is a real left turn at the traffic light for this story. I got severely anorexic,
Okay.
and to the point where one night, I collapsed unconscious, woke up. Apparently, I was awake for several hours. To this day, I remember nothing of it. But one
Wow.
of the first things I remember as I started to come into consciousness was I was sitting in the living room, and this book about sailing around the world was there on the coffee table.
Uh-huh.
And I just remember, like, opening my eyes, kinda being like, "What the fuck just happened? Where am I? What is going on? People are talking at me, and I can't really hear them."
That's
And
wild.
all I could see was this book. I can't remember the title of the book, but there's a picture of a boat, like, leaning over, and it was, like, stormy and waves everywhere, and the crew all, like, huddled together. And there was some little tiny voice in my head that was like, "Wonder if I could do that." Which
Okay.
was immediately followed by like, "What the fuck are you thinking? Like, you just nearly died,
You're
and
right.
you weigh 70 pounds, and you're a mess, and you've got no confidence to do anything whatsoever. Why would you think that?"
Uh-huh.
But it was kind of like this little seed that sort of was planted in me, and obviously, you know, that was I think I must have been like 16, 17 years old, maybe 17, and, uh, it would be 2 years later that I was applying for universities, and University of Southampton was the first one that said yes, and Southampton is on the central south coast of the UK,
Okay.
which is kind of where the sailing happens, and it also happens to be where these boats are based.
Okay.
And so I was like, "Sure, yeah, I'll go to that university, whatever, don't really care." Got a job in a bar at the harbor that those boats are based at. So
Nice.
I started to get to, I was kind of like starstruck, I'd see
Yeah.
these captains and the crews walking. I was like, wow, I saw a book about you. You sail around the world. And I'd get chatting to them. And then one night, a drunk group of guys was hanging off the bar around midnight. And they were like, "Hey, do you want to come sailing with us tomorrow?" And I was like, "All right."
Oh,
And they said, "We'll pick you up at 6 a.m." And I was like, "No, you won't. You're drunk."
right.
But I still, like, I woke up the next day and I was like, "Should I get out of bed? Should I not? Should I?" I was like, "Fuck it, get up."
Yeah.
And they showed up and I went sailing with them and I had absolutely no idea what the hell was going on,
Okay.
but I loved it. And that was when I was like I would probably be 19 at this stage.
Okay.
And I kept sailing with them. And then I started doing more sailing than studying. Somehow got a degree. But by the time I finished my degree, I was like, I want to go sailing. This
That's
seems way better than a real job.
for sure. So, oh wait, the drinking age is different in England, isn't it?
18. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, how are you working in a bar? That makes sense. Sure. I'm like, we didn't do that here. I mean, granted, I've been to plenty of bars way before I was 21, but it is what it is. Um,
Yeah.
so tell me about that first experience. What was the thing that just lit your soul on fire? And you're like, I have to do this.
I just thought, you obviously like you motor out of the harbor, you got the engine on, it's noisy, and then you get all the sails up and you cut the engine, and there's just like this peace. And you're on this thing that's moving along because of the wind.
Right.
And then there's all these other things to think about, like tides and wind shifts and shallow bits and all the navigation and stuff. And then the following day, like after that first experience with them, they were like, hey, do you want to come again tomorrow? And I was like, sure. And they were like, we'll pick you up at 5 a.m. tomorrow. I was like, what the hell is up with these people? Like, and what I didn't realize is that I was going to go out and do a race called Round the Island Race, which is a race round the Isle of Wight, which is the tiny little blip of island just south of Southampton in the UK. And it's every year, I think it was about 1,000 or so boats go around that island, like all kinds of different boats. It's wild. So I got out there, and if I thought the first day was like wild, the second day I was just like, huh? Oh my God, what? And there was just so much chaos and craziness and stress, but also like this amazing sense of freedom and peace when you kind of got away from the madness and you found your kind of lane and you sailed off. And I was like, wow, this is amazing.
That's super.
So
That's awesome. Was there any rowboats out there just cruising, trying to go around the island?
no, no, it's like 60 miles.
That is some miles. I didn't think it'd be like that. That's insane. That's a lot of boats.
It's pretty crazy. It's a little scary to
Yeah,
start that
I bet.
race,
Me and
especially when you got the really fast boats. Like, whew.
yeah,
But
me and the open ocean don't get along at all. Like
oh yeah,
every time I've been out there, I puke my brains out. Every time, never fails.
you
Um,
get past that.
People say that, but I'm like, I've been out there, and it's like I puke every time, and it's not a good time. Um, not at all. Uh, that's why I just surfed, and surfing was great, and I loved that. And then I was like, also the water's too cold, so I don't do it anymore.
Yeah, when I moved out here, everyone was like, "Oh, you're gonna start surfing?" And I was like, "Probably." And one
Yeah,
of the guys I was racing with out here is a big surfer, so he's like, "Come out." And I went out. And I was like, "Damn it, this is way too cold."
it's freezing. It's like 64 degrees. It's not even that bad, but it's cold, cold. I think it's absolutely just bone
It's
chill.
too cold to be enjoyable.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so after start getting into what led to you going around the world twice. That's crazy.
So when I graduated from university, I was like, okay, I had met enough people in the world of sailing by then to know that a lot of people kind of went into the sailing industry as sailing instructors
Uh-huh.
because they have a pretty robust kind of sailing education, like sailing certification system in the UK. But I knew so many people that had gone in to become sailing instructors, not well paid. There's no security in it, and then kind of ended up sort of barefoot and broke at 30 years old, And I was like, well, I
Right.
don't want that. Like
Sure.
that's not my style. Like if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I've spent 2 to 3 years at this point being a crew member on a race boat.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know anything about like cruising boats. I don't know how to really like park a boat. I don't know how to maintain a boat very well.
Okay.
So I found this course that was like 17 weeks long, and it took you from like 0 to what they call a yacht master. So, if you're buying your own sailboat, it would make your insurance cheaper. And in theory, you'd be able to like navigate your way across at least the English Channel
Okay.
safely and, park boats and understand weather and tides and all that stuff. So I kind of pitched it to my folks who I think had high hopes of me doing something sensible.
Uh-huh.
And they were like, oh, okay. So I found myself some funding for it and I signed up for this course. And like day one of the course, the chief instructor of the sailing school I think there was 6 of us. There was like 5 guys and me. And he went around the room. He's like, why are you all here? And, one guy was like, well, I want cheaper boat insurance. Another guy was like, my dad said it was a good idea. And came up
Mhm.
to me and I, had that image of that boat sailing around the world in that
Yeah.
book. And I was like, I want to race around the world as captain. And literally the whole room went, "Pfft,
Seriously?
okay. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Everyone
wow.
laughed at me. Absolutely everybody. Or was just looking at me like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Whatever. But I kind of had a plan. So I got that yacht master and then I did teach sailing, but then I immediately started to try and get on as many boats as possible. Mission number 1 was to get my first ocean crossing in. So I talked my way onto a boat. A few white lies about experience, but whatever. We made it.
Yeah.
I learned how to navigate by the stars. And then I actually ended up working for that company with those boats that raced around the world.
Okay.
And that was my hope that I would, because those boats raced the wrong way around the world. So the wrong way being into the prevailing wind. So
Okay.
slow and horrible, and the boats all leaning over. But that was my plan to do that. But I
So
really, really, really wanted to be a first at something.
okay.
And
That's
there was
awesome.
another company that did the same thing, like professional captain and amateur crew, but they went the right way around the world. So predominantly with wind like more behind you.
Yeah.
So it's a little faster, a little nicer. And they had one female captain before, but she didn't make it around the world.
Okay.
So I was like,
I
all right,
love it.
let's go.
That's awesome. So why backwards around the world?
Because you're masochist.
It's just like, I just want to be
I just
miserable all
wanted to
the time.
sail around the world.
Yeah.
I did not give a single shit how hard it was going to be. I knew, like my first day of being a sailing instructor, back
Uh-huh.
in the early days of my career, I had one of my crew members was this guy who absolutely hated the fact that I was a girl. And he made that evident from,
People are such dicks.
oh yeah. He made that evident from Friday evening until Sunday afternoon when he got off the boat. And I remember I can't remember the first thing he said to me, but he was just antagonistic the whole time, and I was just like, and I was about to react,
Mhm.
to meet him where he's at and be like, "Arr." And it was actually, I probably have him to thank to be like, hold on, this is exactly what he wants, and I'm going to run into this over and over and over again because certainly back then it was very much like a man's world. It was a
Right.
boys' club,
Okay.
and I was like, this is my opportunity. Talking about discomfort, right?
Yeah.
He's making me feel really uncomfortable. But if I react to this and I get mad, that's what he wants because now I'm over emotional and
Uh-huh.
I've lost control and he's winning.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, he's going to ask me a bunch of these shitty little asshole questions and I am going to make for damn sure I have the answer to everyone he asks me and more so that the next time it happens, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to disarm them with my knowledge.
I love that. That's awesome. So I love that, like, aggressively you were pursuing this, right? Even though people are like just being dicks or, doubting you and things like that. After you did it, how long did it take you to do it the first time?
So from the day that I sat there at the start of that course and said, I'm going to race around the world, 5 years later, I was on the start line to race around the world.
That's insane. That's like, so we're gonna get into like what high performing is and everything like that, and like the mindset that goes into it. But like that is like a level of grit that most people just don't have, right? Like that is like top 1% of things. Like people, as soon as it gets tough, they're like, I don't want to do this anymore, right? Or if there's any roadblock or somebody making fun of them, or they're like, oh, this is extremely hard. Like this is not for me, right? So
Mhm.
5 years, and during that 5 years, what was some of the biggest takeaways you had, like working towards it, and like what was the thing that didn't deter you?
I think so. Like, I'm a stubborn little shit. I think I was born that way. It's like genetically stubborn.
Yeah.
Um, but I think, like, like I said, from that first experience teaching that guy, I was like, this is going to be really hard because everybody, not everybody, but like a large chunk of people I'm going to come across want me to fail,
Mhm.
expect me to fail, you know? Um, but what they didn't know and what like I didn't speak publicly about for years was my experience with my eating disorder, right?
Uh-huh.
I had I had been stubborn enough to damn nearly starve myself to death, to the
Right.
point where I collapsed unconscious. But equally, I was stubborn enough to get my own ass out of that. Like,
Mhm.
no help, no medical assistance, no therapy, no, like, whatever it
Mhm.
takes to get people better. None of that. Like, I got myself better. And I knew that nothing I would come across in sailing, in my career, and in life would be as hard as trying to fight my way back to living again, to life,
Yeah.
to thriving rather than just surviving.
Yeah, that's so
So I was
amazing.
like, I know that I can do this. I just have to accept that it's gonna be really freaking lonely
Yeah,
a lot of the time.
for sure. Like, and
But I remember how I felt when I came around and up from being unconscious, and I was like, "This is not my legacy. I'm not gonna leave this world behind," and all I was this frail person who never offered anything to the world. I was
Mhm.
like, "I'm gonna fight my little ass off for
I love that.
this."
That's like that's amazing. Like, I love hearing that. Even, like, coming back from that and, like, you when you pull yourself out of, like, a very, very deep, dark hole, there's not a lot that can, like, fuck with you, right? It's just a thing. Like, there's, like, a different level of commitment, and there's, like, a different level of, grit that goes into it, you know? So when you're at your 5 years and you're getting ready to hit that starting line, how long did it take you to go around the world when you
So
started?
that race takes about 10 months because you have like multiple stopovers and then most stopovers last 5 days,
Okay.
maybe a week. At Christmas time in Australia, there was like 2 weeks, I think, because the boats got pulled out and like had
Mhm.
a big old sort of, checkup and repaint and stuff. And then we had a slight delay because our Pacific crossing from China to Hawaii was really rough. And one boat lost its rig and something else happened. So that held us up in Hawaii. But yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's about 10 months for that race.
That's a long time to be on a
It's
boat.
a very long That's why I keep telling myself, in gnarly CrossFit workouts, I'm like, this shit's gonna be done in like 20 minutes. The
Uh,
longest ever leg of a race was 32 days.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Like, on a boat with people in a place where you cannot go anywhere and hide. Like, you get no alone time.
no alone time.
Like, are we
And this
like
is like where you really have this is what talking of discomfort, like it's such a great example of like, no matter how shitty your day is on land,
uh
if you have a bad day in the office or your kids are driving you nuts or whatever, in general, you can go outside for 5 minutes, or
mhm,
maybe you go to the gym to take it out on some weights, or some people
right.
go to the bar, but you can escape your environment that's causing you grief.
Yeah.
When you're on a boat, you get off and you die. Like,
Like,
there's
just
nowhere to go.
you like
And
if you
when you're on a boat
break.
with 17 people,
Oh my god.
and this was an interesting test of how people deal with discomfort, right? Because
Right.
generally speaking, depending on where you are in the world, if you are within about 500 miles of the coast, you're probably within helicopter rescue range.
Okay.
So bad shit happens, mayday,
Mhm.
wait for helicopter. It gives you like a little sense of comfort.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
in our first leg, like, we sailed from Liverpool in the UK to Brazil. And, you know, I had, I think I had 15, 16 people on the boat.
Okay.
I had kind of gauged everybody's personalities and stuff. We'd trained together a bit. And then one morning, like every morning, I would try and give people a brief on the weather, where we were in the
Mhm.
race, tactics, strategy, all the rest of it. And finished my briefing. And I was like, just so you guys know, we're now more than 500 miles from land. So if we're careless, if we react rather than respond, if we don't think about situations, if we don't take time to do things properly and
Mhm.
someone gets hurt, we're on our own.
Fuck.
And the only people out here who can help us are either the other boats we're racing against, who may or may not be close,
Mhm.
or ships. And in certain areas of the ocean, there's shipping lanes, so you're likely to see shipping.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you could go for days and see nothing. And
That's
it was
crazy.
super fascinating to watch the reactions of people. And some of the people who were the most loud, outspoken, confident people on the dock went deathly freaking quiet when I
I
said that.
bet. Yeah.
I was like, because I think there's this kind of thought, like if you pay to do something, like I always think of this, like if you go to like Six Flags
Uh-huh.
or Disney or something and you go on a scary ride,
Yeah.
if there's scary rides at Disney, I don't know. But there's always, this thing in the back of your mind, I've paid for this,
Mhm.
therefore it's safe, right? I'm not
Yeah.
actually going to get hurt. But out in the ocean, I'm like, yeah, you guys paid a lot of money for this.
Yeah.
I cannot guarantee that we're not going to get annihilated by a storm or that a piece of equipment isn't going to fail and
Right.
disaster strikes. Like, there's no guarantee. We're out here on our own,
That's
us
fucking
against nature.
nuts. That is crazy. Like, there's no way I could do it. That's for sure. Like, that's
You could.
no fucking way. I know me. There's not a fucking chance in hell. Like, as soon as you're like, we're coming close to not being around anybody, I'd be like, somebody come get me. I'm out. This is it. It's just, it's
There's points out there in the ocean where you are closer to people in a space station than other humans on land.
no. That's not okay. And also, like, why do we know more about space than we do about the ocean? That's offensive.
It is. I remember the first time I crossed an ocean
Mhm.
and hadn't seen land for days and suddenly thought about like the enormity of it
Yeah.
and how if I fall in the water, I'm just this teeny tiny little speck of like a nobody and nothing. And there's a lot of things in this ocean with big teeth
Yep.
that I would be a tasty snack for.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying, but also awesome all at the same time.
Okay.
And it really we all get hung up so much on like silly things,
Oh, yeah.
like social
Sure.
media stuff and things that are not important. And like, do my nails look cute? Like, yeah, cute nails are great, but like, does it matter? No.
Not in the big grand scheme of
And it was definitely interesting that whenever I did a big ocean crossing, there would be certain people that I could not talk to for 2 to 3 days because I needed to kind of like take my time to come back into to land just because of the kind of things that they focused on and prioritized and got wound up by. And I was like, oh my God, you have no idea.
Yeah, I need a break. That's just, yeah. Like, I mean, it's like everything in life, right? Like, we worry about, did I buy the right hat? Is my beard trimmed correctly? Right? I don't. Like, I look like a homeless person all the time, which is, that's just me. But like, people care so much about what people think, right? And like how it
Mhm.
affects them, is on a level that is just, it robs so much time. And the way I look at it is like life is time, right? And it's like whatever you're doing, you're giving your life to it. And if you're giving your life to it, it better fucking mean something, right? So
Mhm.
like stressing or worrying or pouting or just being a dick, it just is not fucking worth it, right? I couldn't.
It's really not.
So like I was in a band, and I think I don't know if you knew that, but I used to be in a
Mhm.
band. We played a hell of a lot of shows all over the place, and like to this day, like, I guess probably now we're probably okay if we saw each other. But like, if I would have saw those guys even a year after we broke up, 2 years, 5 years, I'm like, fuck you. Like, I want nothing to do with you, right? Because it's like, there's just so much pent up shit because you're around each other too fucking much, you know? I couldn't not. So like, I will also not go on a cruise because there's too many people on a boat. And I don't trust it at all.
Oh no.
Right?
It's
And
like
there's,
I've always thought about that, like, if something goes wrong,
yeah,
just shit show. In the same way I always think about, like, I'm not scared of flying, but like, there's been numerous times on boats where people are like, "Are we okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And deep
maybe.
down I'm like, "Oh fuck, I don't know." And I always wonder, like with pilots, when you get through turbulence, they're like, "Yeah, everything should be fine." And you're like, "Are you actually up there like
Just buttholes puckering left and right. Yeah, like I won't go on a cruise because there's too many people, and you're stuck on this fucking skyscraper that's turned sideways that somehow is floating. And
Mhm.
if something goes wrong, everyone's gonna panic. Literally everybody. There's gonna be 5 people that are like keeping their shit together, and it's like, well, no, here we are.
Did you
And
see that documentary on Netflix about, I can't remember which cruise it was, where like that sickness went round and, like, everyone got the shits and was vomiting and,
Yeah,
like,
and then they had to
it was
park
just
the boat.
everywhere. It's
Fucking
like,
awful.
nope.
That's my luck. But see, being in cramped quarters with 16 other people besides you, like, you have to sleep in shifts, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, like, that's you're rarely all together at
Mm,
once unless, like, it's kind of transition time and or we're in a briefing or the shit's hitting the fan and we need all hands.
uh
So most of the time, you'd be sleeping for 4 hours, working for 4 hours, or, a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on conditions.
Oh, so you weren't a slave driver then?
I think I was. I mean, I went hard on those people. I'm sure a lot of my crew were like, "Fuck you," by the end of it. But one thing I said to them though, and like this was, I mean, talk about imposter syndrome. I was 27 years old, just 27 years old when we started that race.
Okay.
And a lot of my crew, I mean, it's expensive to do this stuff. Like a lot of my crew were like 40s, 50s, directors of companies, CEOs, people who were high up and important. And I was like, "Ugh, what do I know? It's just little old me." And I was like, I know the sailing. I know the strategy. I know how to keep them alive.
Uh-huh.
So don't be scared. But I remember distinctly saying to them when I was first given my crew and we went into like breakout rooms and I was like, look, you guys, I need to know honestly. I'm like, are you here for a good time? You want to get around the world and or are you here to try and do your darndest to win?
Mhm.
Because there's a different approach here. And
For
I was
sure.
like, if we just want to go and have a good time and we don't care where we come, we just want to make it across the oceans and be like, hey, I did that, then we're probably going to end up and finishing this race and hopefully you're kind of like me.
Yeah.
But I was like, if you want to go out there and actually push, like really push to try and win or at least get on the podium,
Uh-huh.
there's a good chance that a chunk of you are not going to like me by the end of this. And I was like, be honest,
Yeah.
because this chat here sets the tone.
Oh, for sure.
And everybody kind of was like quiet. They're like, no, we want to push. And I was like, all right, just remember this moment.
Yeah. Because I will throw it in your face.
Yeah. And I'm sure there was a lot of times where people were just like, whenever we finished a leg of the race, we're like, fuck you, lady.
So, when you had your breaks, like decompression and all that stuff for sure, but like, did you get to like go and cruise around, see what's there, do stuff? Like, I know you said you had 2 weeks in Australia, but like in other places, like, did you just get to like cruise around, or are you just trying to recover?
A, l- a little bit, but like often, I mean, some of the crew did
Mhm,
for us as captains. There was like media commitment. There was like repairs that had to be made to the
mhm,
boat. Um, so you try your best
mhm,
to get downtime where possible. But like Australia, unfortunately, like my family flew out. But we raced from Durban in South Africa to Australia. And on the second day of that race, we actually had a man overboard in the middle of the night.
uh,
And thank God it saved him.
yeah,
We got him back like just in the nick of the time. And I honestly don't really know how.
that's
Um,
crazy.
but we saved his life. So when we got to Australia, rather than kind of being like, oh, 2-week break, it was kind of a lot of debriefs and a lot of, you know,
Yeah,
going through that and trying to make sure that everybody was okay. Because, Australia is only halfway around the world.
only.
And when you almost lose a crew member, like that, that shakes you to the core.
Oh, fuck, I could only imagine. Like,
Yeah.
any type of tragedy or, like, any, like, emergency or anything like that is going to change a person, for sure. And if you're that far away from home, especially being in England, like, that's rough for, like, what do you do, you know?
I think it's the only time in my life where I was physically speechless for about 30 minutes after we got him back. Like, couldn't talk.
I can't imagine.
And I think that's also the damn day I started getting gray hair.
27 years old, starting
It's
gray,
depressing.
right? Um, so other than that, because the next question I was gonna ask you, what was the gnarliest thing that happened on either one of the times that you went? Um, that was pretty gnarly. How many bad storms did you end up running into?
Um, I mean, a lot. Like, In the total of my career, I sailed nearly 250,000 miles
That's
and,
insane.
like, crossed the Atlantic Ocean 17 times. I think one of the worst storms I've actually been in was not on the round the world race. I was sailing from Brazil? No, yeah, Brazil back to the UK
Mhm.
in December. So, the first part's kinda nice, warm,
Yeah.
and then you get into the Northern Atlantic and it's horrible.
Yeah.
And this massive storm was rolling in and oh my god, like the boat was 60 feet, the waves were significantly bigger. And it was a really fast boat too, so we were just taking off down these waves and holding on, and I was so cold. And I mean, the good thing was though is that I lost so much weight that I got home for Christmas and I could eat like a crazy person because I was like skinny as all hell. But we also, I think, like in before I ever sailed around the world, I was doing a race across from the UK to Boston, and on the way back, we actually got hit by a hurricane.
Sounds like a party,
And I
honestly.
think like I was first mate, so like second in command at the
Mhm.
time. And me and the guy who was captain, I think, like, we didn't sleep for over 3 days, and we were both kind of just like, none of the crew wanted to drive the boat, so it was kind
Right.
of, like, on us, and we were at the point of being just stupid. I remember one night, like so you have all these digital displays, like, like, so they're lit
Yeah.
wind speeds and boat speeds and all of that stuff, so you get, like, little digital segments of numbers. The moon was full and like the clouds had all passed and there was still like white water from the waves. So the combination of zero sleep, the bright moon, all of these waves, and the guy, the captain of the boat, like I was stood right next to him and he turns around to me and he goes, "The anaconda ate the cheese." And I was like, right, yeah.
You're like,
And then
"Great,
a couple
dude."
of minutes later, I was like, "Wait, there's a fucking anaconda on the boat. Where is it? Oh my God, what?" And he was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "You just told me the anaconda ate the cheese. Where's
Ah!
the anaconda?" And I was like, we have cheese?" And what had happened is he was so tired, is that all the little segments of the numbers, the digital display, had kind of come out of the displays and formed a snake. And then the moon was the cheese. And we were both so like, and these poor people in the cockpit who were just scared shitless and
Yeah.
holding on for dear life, thinking that they're totally safe because we're driving the boat, and we're there going, "Oh, the anaconda ate cheese. Okay, cool."
And that's hilarious. Also, it's funny that, like, minutes later, you're like, "Wait, what? There's a snake? What the fuck?" It's ridiculous.
So I mean,
Uh,
yeah, like I'd say some of the gnarliest experiences on boats had just come from like the extreme exhaustion.
oh, I bet. Um, yeah, but it's like, I mean, you probably can sleep on a boat pretty well, right?
I mean, it really depends. Like, I was never good at it even in restful times because,
In
I
restful
was usually in charge, so I never wanted to, like, it to become calm and then my crew to feel bad about waking me up.
Mhm.
And because like, we used to be that was one of our best best skills as our team was
Mm.
getting people in light winds because, others would kind of just switch off and be like, "Oh, we'll just wait for the wind to come back." And I was like, "Nope, we got to be on this. We got to find the wind shifts."
Yeah.
So I was never good at, I'm still not good at sleeping in general, but I was never good at like being able to just take little naps. Like
Okay.
I kind of pushed it to like exhaustion a lot. But
Sounds healthy.
yeah, it's it's the healthiest sport in the world. Like, you
100%.
get exhausted,
Yeah.
you lose a shit ton of weight, and then you get to shore, and the first thing you do is eat a massive steak and drink beer until you feel like shit, and
Yeah.
then you do it all over again.
And you get gray hair, so
You
it's
get
like
gray
win,
hair.
win, 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 win.
It's great. Do it.
Yeah, no, not doing it. Um, so, okay, after all that, when did you decide to retire from it?
So, after I'd been around the world, um, I then went I was like, "Okay, I'm kind of peopled out.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna start shorthanded sailing." So I started racing across oceans with just one other person.
Okay.
Um, which sounds easier, but you gotta be kind of careful because if it's just one person, you start hating them. That's that's difficult.
For
So I
sure.
did that for a lot. Started getting sponsorship deals and solo, well, short-handed racing. My goal had been to go solo around the world. when I got back from my first trip around the world. But unfortunately, the economy crashed, and multi-million dollar sponsorship deals for solo sailing are not front and center for companies when the world's falling apart.
Yeah.
So kind of changed direction. And then I started to get into sailing on some American flagged boats
Okay.
and doing like the Caribbean race circuit and then like stuff in Rhode Island and then the Transpac race, which runs from Long Beach to Hawaii. And then became boat captain. So I kind of transitioned from just sailing, like show up, sail, or get sponsored to go sail,
Uh,
to having like a full-time job in sailing, like running the boat, and I was race crew. And I started off on a boat on the East Coast. Then I got headhunted to come out here and run this big fancy catamaran, which was really cool and really fun. But I had kind of started to get to that point of like, I'm feeling really burned out.
mhm,
And, when you do what any professional sports person will tell you that your career is everything
mhm.
and everybody else around you has to fit into that.
Yeah.
And if they don't, they're gone.
Yeah.
Like I went 15 years, never once saying yes to a birthday invite. I think I made one wedding.
Wow.
And my friend, I was bridesmaid, and it was actually one of the girls who was on my crew around the world. And I was like, okay, I have an ocean race just before your wedding. So do not rely on me for any kind of help. And
Just
if that's cool with you,
yeah.
I will just sail with my ass off to get to your wedding.
Yeah.
But also, you need to pick a dress that's going to be adjustable because I'll be skinny as hell by the time I get there. And she was great, and I made it. But 15 years of just having very little life outside
Yeah.
of sailing. I was in a 11-year relationship. We owned a home together in England,
Mhm.
and I walked away from that because I saw the career heading out to the US.
Yeah.
And I'd spent so much time in different places, a lot of times by myself when I started running boats, like, go hang out in the BVIs for 3
Mhm.
months. It sounds great, but it gets a little lonely, and I really wanted a fucking dog. Like, I really wanted a dog. I've never wanted kids, but I've
Yeah.
always wanted to have a dog, and, like, you can't do that when you're
Yeah.
sailing.
For sure.
And I'd started to want a home,
Mhm.
and
Like
I wanted to do simple things like say yes to a barbecue on a Saturday.
yeah.
And so I'd kind of been about to pull the plug on sailing, got the gig out here, and the boat was so crazy and complicated. I was like, well, I can't say no to that. And was out, I think I moved out to California in 2015
Okay.
and worked on that boat for a couple of years. And then that campaign was kind of going in a slightly different direction. And I was like, you know what? It's time. And I had met my now husband by then. And he had proposed, and I was like, this is crazy. I can't just keep spending 2 days with you and then disappearing if this
Right.
is ever gonna work. Like, I mean, we literally got married, and 2 days later, I got on a plane to Rhode Island.
To go race.
We had the boat out the water, so I had to go get it ready
Oh,
to
okay.
go race down in the Caribbean. And so I was like, "Okay, this is it." And I was like, "I have no freaking idea
Mhm.
what happens next." And, I remember we got married, we immediately filed all the paperwork for like green card stuff because I knew that as soon as I quit the boat,
Yeah.
my visa is not,
Legal
it doesn't
anymore.
allow me to
Yeah.
work anywhere else. So it's kind of weird because, most people get married and they're like, oh, this is, we're going to set up our forever. And I was
Yeah.
like, well, we're going to get married. And now I'm in the hands of the US government as to whether I can stay.
Right. Wild.
And I couldn't work for the best part of a year.
Yeah.
And I went from this kind of crazy bouncing around all over the place, like I was very much in charge of everything,
Mhm.
to being like I felt like I had no control and no direction. And that year, like post sailing and before I was like eligible to like go out there and find another job in another direction, was probably the loneliest year of my life.
Yeah. I could
Which
only
is wild to say just after you got married.
yeah. But, I mean, it's like if you feel like you have no purpose, like you don't know what it, like,
Mhm.
set your soul on fire because, like, the thing that you did, you're not doing anymore,
Yeah.
and it's like, there's a lot to do with that, right? Like, I mean, that's almost like an ego death. Like, it's
Oh,
like,
100%.
yeah. And it's like, how do you process that shit? You're like, I've been doing this for 15 years or whatever. And you're like, well, now what do I do? Right. And it's like,
I mean,
no,
the scary part of it is like part of this kind of crazy push that I didn't realize until I was kind of forced into like this like abrupt stop.
uh,
And FYI, you can't actually do anything else with your time apart from reflect, which is a kick in the dick, man.
oh,
Like, cause
for
I
sure.
had been running. And this is what really sparked the whole coaching thing is that I realized when I first got to Rhode Island, I was like, really fucked up from my relationship split up. And I
Mhm.
hadn't realized because I'd just been like, oh, we're just moving. We're moving. We're going to change country. It's going to be fine. Great. Rhode Island. Everyone's there. Except for they weren't because it was winter and everybody I knew from sailing was in the Caribbean. So it was lonely as fuck. And I had too much time to think. And that was when I was like, oh my God, I am a mess.
Yeah.
And that's like being British. Like, we don't like to talk about things. Like,
I mean, anybody our age does not
keep
like talking.
calm, carry on, stiff upper lip. Oh, the weather's lovely.
It's
Um, so I was like, you know, a couple of people like, maybe you should find a therapist. I'm like, I'm not talking to a fucking
yeah.
therapist. So I started a life coaching course because I was like, maybe I can figure some stuff out. And holy hell, that made me kind of assess some things. But I realized that I'd had a phenomenal 15 years and I had been driven by this kind of secret force of like, I didn't know where it was coming from. And I realized it was because I had never unpacked all of the shit that went down that got me to be like into starving myself to death, right?
Right.
I had just been running and I had run into this crazy career where people just thought I was like so strong and, confident.
Mhm.
And inside I was not
Right.
at all.
Yeah.
And so that year of like no man's land was probably the most uncomfortable year of my life.
Yeah. For sure.
But that's got what kind of got me curious about, you know, I kind of dug into that life coaching course and started to realize about like making these connections and
Mhm.
what makes me me and why is it so fucking uncomfortable to talk about like if I ever admitted my past to anybody, I kind of whispered it. I couldn't physically say, yeah, I was anorexic out loud because I thought people would just be like, you're useless. Have this opinion of me. So, and then I was like, okay, well, I love the life coaching course. What else can I do? Like
Yeah.
nutrition. Let's learn about that. So then I did the precision nutrition level 1. And then I had so much time on my hand. I was going to the gym the whole time. And I was like, I'd actually taken my L1 CrossFit course when I was in Rhode Island. Had never used it to coach, but I was, they've kind of the gym in Santa Barbara, my first gym here, let me kind of take on some smaller classes. Like I
Okay.
wasn't paid for it to keep it kind of legal, but just to get experience. And I was like, wow, this is a way because one thing I loved in sailing, especially with my crew who were amateurs, was seeing people who had no skills
Mhm.
form into this phenomenal team
Right.
that we did get on the podium. That's no small effort. Like, watching their skills develop, not just like practical sailing skills, but their teamwork skills
Mhm.
and their crisis management skills. And I loved that, like being able to shape people and inspire people and help people. So it was kind of like when I then was like, oh, okay, there's this world of CrossFit and there's all these people that need a lot of help with how do I get fit and strong? How do I break these unhealthy habits? Like, how do I feel good? Because
Mhm.
so many people don't even know how to feel good.
Right.
And that kind of sparked the interest in like the coaching stuff.
I love that. That's awesome. Um, so how old were you when you got your L1?
How old?
Yeah.
Uh, 34.
Okay. Um, when is that like when you started like I know there's fitness that goes into like sailing and shit. There has to be, right? Like you have to be able to do stuff and be agile and all those things, right? So like have you been doing sport and fitness like your entire life or did it start after all of that?
So I Unfortunately, the school, like high school that I went to, was all about academics.
Mhm,
They loved you for being smart,
mhm.
and sports was something that they did because they had to.
Oh, got
And
it.
unless you were already like at a county level tennis player because mommy and daddy had a shitload of cash and had been teaching you since you were 2,
Right.
it was kinda like, "Oh, go an hour of PE and then
Mm,
let's get back to the intelligent stuff."
got it.
So I never in s and also, like, sport you were only nurtured in sports at my school if you were a very outgoing person,
Okay.
and I was very, very shy, cripplingly shy. So, one little mistake on the hockey field and I'm done. Like, I
Yeah.
just wanna hide and be like, "Oh, no." And that there was just not I don't know whether there wasn't the knowledge or there just wasn't the emphasis on this is an important part of your development. So I
Mm,
never thought of myself in any way athletic.
okay.
And then I got sick. And then I got into sailing and somehow, like, figured out a way to do that. But it was towards the end of my career, I'd done the race from Long Beach to Hawaii. We had set a record. We spent 5 days, like, celebrating, and then I got the plane flew back to the UK, so, like, 5 hours to LA and then 10 hours back to London. I had drunk red wine and stuff on the plane and felt like shit. And my friend was like, "Hey, so I'm trying this new like fitness thing. I'm gonna pick you up from the airport and then we're gonna go to the class." And I was like, "Fuck,
Lovely.
really?" She goes, "You're gonna love it." And I was like, "Okay." And I'd been to a regular gym.
Mhm,
I'd, enjoyed it. I'd done some, classes, as my mom would call it, keep fit classes. But I walked into this CrossFit gym and I was like, "What the fuck happens here?" Because it was like empty space,
mm,
some pull-up bars, couple of rowers, and a couple of barbells. I'd never touched a barbell in my life. And I was
mhm,
like, "What are you doing here? Like, it's just like empty."
mhm.
And I remember the coach was like, "All right, we're gonna do baseline." And I was like, "What's that?" So he wrote it up on the board. What is that, like 500-meter row, and then
I don't remember actually.
40 push-ups, 30 sit-ups, 20 something, and finish it with 10 pull-ups. It's like a
Okay.
benchmark kind of thing. And I was like, "Well, that seems fine." So I got through it, having flown all that time and drunk red wine on the plane and stuff, and was dying.
Mhm,
Like, the workout took me, like, 6.5 minutes. And it was at a time when, like, on the gym, they had this big old board with everybody's PRs and,
mhm.
like, the that workout was up there, and I was like, "How did I do?" And he pointed up at the board, and my score was shit. Like, my time was absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
And I looked at my friend, and I'm like, "What the fuck is this place?"
Yeah.
And I felt, I had Fran lung like crazy.
Like, "What's
And then I
happening
woke up
today?"
the next day and I was like, "I need to do this again. This is
Yeah.
great."
Right.
So, like, I had kind of started to dabble in CrossFit a few
Mm,
years before I finished, but I could never be consistent because I'd go for like a handful of weeks and then I'd be gone for 2
right.
months. And then I'd go somewhere else for a week or something and then I'd be gone. So, I never really had enough time to like learn how to do a clean
Mm,
and jerk properly or, figure out kipping pull-ups or anything like that. Um, but I wish that CrossFit had been a big deal when I was growing up because I feel like it would have been something I loved.
yeah. I feel the same way. Um, so I found it in 2014. My first, CrossFit workout was Murph in a park, and yeah. Yeah, my ex-wife's friend was like, "Oh, let's go do a workout," and then we did Murph, and I was like, "Oh my god," it hurt so bad, and it's like, when I played hockey for a long, long time, and I was very fit when I played hockey, but, this was just different, right? And I was like, "Okay, I wanna see what this is all about," and then, following week, we went to, a free class on a Saturday, and I think I was 6 minutes into the Metcon, and I was outside throwing up, and I was like, "This is bullshit." And I was like I was offended that I was so unfit, and I was like, "You know what? Fuck this. Like, I'm gonna stick with this." And then the whole first year, I got hurt, like, right out of the gate because the coaches at the first gym sucked, and then
Mhm.
the second gym that I went to, like, kind of redeemed hope a little bit, and, I was very, like, inconsistent, and then we moved to Berkeley, even more inconsistent. And then when I moved to Walnut Creek, I met the coach that like changed everything for me. And that's why I started coaching. It was because like I had such a great coach and it was just like so fucking inspiring that it was like, oh, okay. this is what I want to do. And that's what I got my L1. And when it came down to it, it like looking back, there's so many people that even now that are at where I was at, right? And it's like
Mhm.
all I did before that was drink my fucking nuts off all the time. I partied, did all the drugs, and it was just like rage, rage, rage. And then I was like, I have to stop doing this. Um, and there's people like that are everywhere, and they're like, oh, I don't even know where to get started. It's like just fucking let's go to the gym, let's go walk, let's do something, right?
Mhm.
Um, so it's just a different type of person that's like, oh, I just got kicked in the fucking face doing this workout. Let's keep doing that.
Yay.
Yay! This is so great. Um, what do you think sets apart high performers mainly? Like, what's the main thing that you think sets somebody apart that can just grind and dig more than some people?
I think I think it's being able to drown out distractions. Like, it was clear to me early on that if I wanted to do what I said I was gonna do and go sail around the world, that those friends who were like, "Hey, why don't we go out and party on this Friday night or this Saturday night or whatever," when I knew there was an opportunity to go sailing, that I'd have to just shut that down and be like, "Nope, I'm gonna ignore that noise because this is more important." And that's not to say that that can never happen,
Right.
but I gotta focus, like, the ability to focus on what is important and not get distracted, and the ability to be able to, I think, like, multitask and prioritize, right? Because 'Cause we're all constantly juggling a lot of things, and if you're like, "Oh, squirrel.
Yep.
Oh,
Oh,
squirrel."
you mean me?
Like, then it's you're never gonna to achieve anything phenomenal, it just takes a lot of focus, and I think understanding like, having a really strong why,
Yeah,
and I
for sure.
think my why for sailing was not a healthy why.
Uh-huh.
I have a much healthier why now for, like, why I love to coach and why I want to build on that,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, I mean, drowning out the noise of distractions, I think it's you have to be able to do that if you're gonna be able to focus on what you wanna do.
Yeah, for real. I agree so much. I also think that it takes a different type of will that most people it's either you're born with it or you're not, right? Like you can teach people how to work hard,
Mhm.
or but you can't teach people how to appreciate the work that they're doing, right? Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like I will work my ass off. I'm very good at tasks. I have ADHD super bad, so I get distracted during tasks, but I will tackle the task. Like if my mind is made up on something, there's no stopping me, like at all. Um, and I think that like because I'm stubborn as fuck also, but I think at the same time, like I have a will that is like when I was growing up, that look, not the most ideal in a lot of different situations, in a lot of different ways, in a lot of like things. And after going to like therapy and shit like that, like, oh, I'm like, wow, I'm fucked up. But it makes sense why I am the way I am. Like, I
Mhm.
want so much more out of life. Like, I was not fucking born to be mediocre, right? Like, I'm going to grind my ass off because I like the reward of completing a task or whatever. But like, also, fuck, live life, have fun, do shit, right? And if you're just sitting there just being mediocre, you're not doing that fun shit. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's what I think. And I think most people that are uh, high performers like do the same type of thing.
But I think I felt for a long time, I neglected to think or neglected to understand that as much as, you need to be focused and you need to work your ass off, that there needs to be some balance in there too.
Oh yeah,
And
for
I think, like, that's one of the reasons when I retired, I was so burned out because it had just been, like,
sure. Mhm,
for 15 years.
mhm.
And finally, I was like, "Fuck." And I retired, and everyone was like, "Do you wanna go sailing?" I'm like, "I don't even wanna see a damn boat."
Right, right.
Um, but I think, focus, but now I'm learning about the importance of being able to check in. And I also think, like, back in the day, because 'cause I'm so old now, that I was like, "You're either like this high performing person and you're getting it done, or you're a nothing." And I'm like now I'm like, "Well, hold on.
Yeah.
If
Well,
everyone in the world is hammering away to try and be like this thing,
mhm.
well, that it takes all sorts, right?"
Oh, for sure.
And I know I always used to think that like somebody asked me when I was young, like, what would make you content? And I was like, if I am ever content, that'll be the day I die. And now I think that's kind of sad. I'm like, I want to be content,
Yeah,
like
for sure, right.
snuggle my
I want
dogs on a Saturday on the couch, like just
stability.
like I'm content. It's great.
Yeah.
Um, but I think, I'd hate to say it, but I think at some points I probably almost looked down on people who weren't chasing after some massive dream, who were just happy doing their thing and living their life
Uh-huh.
and not being all here and there and everywhere and always at extremes. But there's a lot to be learned from them too. And I'm like, I really do believe that it does take all sorts. And like you said, like some people are just born with this need
Mhm.
to get shit done.
Yeah.
And other people are like, I'm good. Like I'm just having a, enjoying my ride.
Mhm.
Whatever this life gives me, I'm good. And I'm like, okay, good for you too.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, just as long as you're happy, as long as you're doing the thing that
Yeah.
like makes your soul happy, right?
'Cause I think if you tried to force I mean, as much as, like, going back to what I said earlier, I feel like I chased after this, carrot in front of me for slightly the wrong reasons, but it was inherent in me that I was gonna do something like that,
Great, right.
you know?
Yeah.
It wasn't forced, like, if I think even, if you asked my sister, "Would you go out and do something like that?" It would probably be a hard freaking no. Like, we're different people, we want
Mhm.
different things out of life.
Right.
So, yeah, you can't force this kind of thing,
No.
whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever it is, it's a some would say a sickness.
Right.
So, I think it also has a lot to do with, like, people can suffer on different levels, right? Me, when I work out, I get to a certain point, I'm just like, I don't like this anymore. Like, this is not for me. I'm not I don't have it. My fiance, Chelsea, she'll go till she dies, right? And it's like, we compete. We met you at a competition.
Mhm.
And it's like, I try to go till I die, but like, she's like picking me up and dragging me. She's like, "Come the fuck on!" I'm like, How do you still have the? How do you still have juice of this? I don't understand, right? So, what do you think about like suffering on like a way that is getting you to your goals?
It's interesting because like, when you're talking about, like, suffering in workouts, like, in CrossFit, depending on what it is, like,
Mhm.
sometimes I'll suffer hard, but a lot of the time I go like, "Ah! No!" And then
Same,
so in
same. I make the
2024
same noise too. By the way, I'm just no, fuck
but
that.
also what I've learned about myself, which is kind of fucked up, is that I'm really good at, like, the long suffer. Like, I'm an endurance athlete.
Yeah.
The CrossFit, the super painful short-term suffer fest
Mhm.
death, like, no, I'm not good at that, like and I think because there's a part of me that's like, "I'm never gonna win this race because I'm just not built like that," allows me to go, "Huh, no." And so, like, in 2024, um, when I knew that I was, like, having some shoulder problems and it ended up being, like, 2 shoulder surgeries, like, I had done the Open,
Mhm.
and then I had gone to quarterfinals, and I remember, like, I love to do strict handstand push-ups, and I was excited to see them in a workout, and I couldn't fucking do them because I was in so much pain.
Oh, that sucks.
And, like, I knew that something it's been kind of brewing for a few years, and I was like, "It's really, like, crescendoing now to a point where I can't ignore it." So I was like, "Okay, I need something to focus on so that I don't feel shit about myself in the gym because all of these things that I was good at or starting to get, I'm starting to, like, fail at, which sucks." So I decided out of the blue one day that running a trail ultramarathon was clearly the way to go. So, like, I could just suffer for a 10-minute CrossFit workout, but I was like, "No,
Yeah.
let's go run a 50K in the
Yeah.
mountains. That
In
seems
the
like a
in the
plan."
mountains where there's
So
rocks and shit.
and yeah. And also things with big teeth that might wanna eat you, you
Yeah,
know?
you know?
So I was like, "Okay, so this is a good distraction," so I kind of focused on that, like, I did the quarterfinals and then sort of went more into, like, I'm gonna running train for a while to see
Mhm.
if the break gives the shoulders, like, less pain. And I remember doing one of my last training runs in Santa Barbara. That year, it rained a lot here, and luckily there was
So
somebody
what,
else with me.
14 days instead of 12?
Yeah. And we had planned this run. I don't know if you've been up like Rattlesnake Canyon, up the mountain, all the way along the top of the mountains, and then back down Old St. Marcos Road. So like we parked one car and then drove the other one to the start. And we knew like, of course, the rainstorm was gonna line up nicely with that run. But I was like, look, it's
Perfect.
not gonna rain until 11 a.m. If we start at like 7, we should be most of the way done by the time it starts raining. So we'll be fine. And I
Yeah,
was gonna just go in a t-shirt and shorts, and then the day before, I was like, maybe I should buy a rain jacket. So we start running up Rattlesnake Canyon, and it starts raining at like 8 a.m. And then
perfect.
we get up onto Gibraltar Road, and it wasn't just raining, but it was like howling winds and the kind of cold where you're like, oh, I can't breathe, but it's fine. We're fine. I'm fine. So we're like running up Gibraltar, just like this is really stupid.
Mhm.
And my pace was a little faster than hers, so I was running, and then I was like trying to hide behind a rock to stay out of the weather and wait for her. And then I got like I think it was about sort of 15 miles into the run, and I just got to the point where I was like, I'm fucked. Like, I can't stop and wait because I am going to die of hypothermia. And I've had hypothermia twice. So I was like, I
Oh my
know
god.
what's coming. So I was like running down Painted Cave Road, and I was trying to like call a friend, but there's so much rain everywhere and my fingers are all swollen. I couldn't like make my phone work. And then eventually I managed to like call a friend. He's like, I'm working, but try my girlfriend. And like, I literally was just like, Painted Cave Road, SOS, sharing location, and managed to share location. And then she got the message, and I was within a mile of my car, but like she picked me up and I got in the car and I was shaking so much. Like she brought me coffee. I couldn't hold on to the coffee.
Oh,
And then we
wow.
drove back up the mountain and found my friend. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, and then we were like 2 weeks out from the race. And initially the forecast was like 70 something degrees in the race. And I was worried that it would be too hot.
Mhm.
And it turns out that the race day, it was 50 degrees and raining. And it started raining when I started. And 7 hours later when I finished, it stopped raining. But because I'm that stubborn little shit,
Yeah.
and I had been out there and put myself in the shit before, and I was like, well, I can survive even though it sucks. I won the fucking race.
What?
Yeah.
Look at you go. That's so dope.
So like I can suffer in an endurance sense, but in the
Yeah.
short, sharp suffering of CrossFit, like I suck at it.
Yeah, Fran, you're like, "No, I'm
Yeah,
not doing
no.
it. It hurts too bad." Like, that's incredible. Like, you are built differently. That is for sure. Like,
I
you
think because like I know that it needs a long enough time where I know that other people are going to start breaking down up here,
Mhm.
like mentally just getting too dark.
Yeah.
And I know that like that's almost the point where I'm like,
Yeah.
now we go.
Yeah.
It's
So,
like if
like
there's ever like a 30-plus minute workout in CrossFit, which is rare, but
mhm.
when I do it to people on Saturday mornings, like you see people get to like 20 minutes in and they're like, holy shit, what
Yeah.
is happening? We don't go to this point. And at 30 minutes, I'll be like, all right,
Alright.
let's go.
I just warmed
Let's
up.
go.
Yeah. Yeah, Chelsea's really good at that. Like, she can pace better than almost anybody I've ever worked out with, and, like, it is crazy to me because like, I'll die, and then she just, like, keeps going and going and going, and it's like, y'all are built different. That's just what it is. That's for sure. Like,
But
I
that's
think
also where it's like, when you study more about like certainly from like studying nutrition and body types and all the rest of it and learning about energy systems, and then you can start to learn about like, oh, like I literally hadn't before learning all that stuff, like it's was doing CrossFit and I was like, yeah, I'm big and strong, and then was clearly in the context of CrossFit I'm not. Like I'm a little shrimp, and that's fine, but when you the more you know, right?
uh-huh.
I know that I'm not a big power output athlete,
Yeah,
but give me something that goes long, great.
there
I
you go.
know that I can excel there. So then you can start to like play with things. You can manage your expectations. You can
Mhm.
know like where your weak points are and why. Like I've always like kind of joked, like I'm probably at this point in life not going to get wildly stronger, but I can
I
improve
mean,
technique and stuff. If I can hold on to what I've got, I'm going to the games when I'm 60.
yep, there it is. You're like, "I'm gonna fucking win that shit too."
I just need weights to come down a little bit to
Yeah,
meet me where I'm
balance it
at.
out. Hannah, where do you see yourself going?
Oof.
Oof, it's the hard
Oof.
questions now.
It is a
Like,
hard
what is life?
question. What is the meaning of life? I I'm not entirely sure. And what I love about the fact is that I can say that now and not freak out about it.
I love that.
Because I think, I was always being in control of absolutely fucking everything
Mhm,
was always just such a feature of my life that now I'm kind of like, you know what? I'm not entirely sure
mhm.
what the next 5 years, 10 years will look like.
Okay,
I've definitely the last couple of years enjoyed, you know, lots of shit going on, but taking, enjoying downtime and not constantly being like, we've got to do something else. We've got to start something new. We've got to be here, be there. Just being like, well, let's just go with the flow for a bit.
I love
But
that.
starting, like I said earlier, starting to feel that little itch that needs scratching of like, yeah, I need something to chase after.
Okay, alright. I love that. So no fitness endeavors are on the horizon at the moment.
I'm doing All Dirty Masters competition this Sunday,
That
which is
sounds fun.
just super fun. Just bunch of masters athlete. My partner is actually it's her first. She just turned 35,
Okay,
so it's her first ever masters competition, and
nice.
I cannot wait to see her face when she rocks up to see who she's up against. I'm like, there is amazing. The first time I ever did this competition, their bathroom is just filled with like Advil, Tiger Balm, like all
I
this
love it.
shit. Where
That's
you're like, yep, there's a bunch of old people working
Yep,
out. It's
for sure.
great.
Where's it
So
at?
we got that. That's down it's kind of LA area.
Okay.
And then I'm going to do the Monster Games qualifiers with Aki, who is my partner
Yep,
at Waterpalooza,
I
because they
like it.
actually have a Masters division, so we don't have to if we make it, we don't have to compete with the kids.
Oh, that's fun.
Mhm.
That's where I also
Um
have to do that.
yeah, right. Um And then I'm not really sure
I
after
like
that.
it.
I'm not sure. Just
Yeah.
I feel like I want to do something that scares me a little bit, like a lifting meet or something. That would scare
Oh,
me.
that'd be fun. Yeah. Like something that's just completely out of left field. I mean, don't
Yeah.
go run an ultra again, that sounds dumb.
I think that was a one and done. I mean, it
Yeah.
was super like there's something really freeing about running, and I know everybody goes "Pff, whatever,
Uh,
but like you do get to a point where you start and everything hurts. And you're like, oh my god, I can't do this, and then you run through all the pain, and then it's just like, wow, I've covered all of these miles on
yeah.
my own feet, and it's like the most primal kind of form of human exercise, just being free and running, and it's pretty freaking cool,
Yeah.
when you cover a massive distance. You're like, wow, I did that.
Me and you are also different in that aspect. I ran a half marathon and I will never do it again. Ever.
I've run Pier to Peak, which is in Santa Barbara, which is from the pier up to the highest point here. So it's basically all the way uphill half marathon.
Yeah.
I've run the New York Marathon, and I've run a trail ultra. So I
You
think, and I'm one and done with all of those things.
Yeah, you're a fucking badass. That's just long story short, for sure.
The
Um,
trouble with running is that if you're gonna do it and you're not gonna fuck yourself up, the training just takes a long
it's so
time.
long. Yeah.
Like, I was running at 5 a.m. for, like, an hour and a half, like, in
No,
the dark, and it
no.
freaks me out.
So, like, at least you were like, were you training for that in Santa Barbara?
Yeah.
At least it was in Santa Barbara. Like, when I was running and training for my half, it was in Berkeley, and I was running at night, and I'm like, "I'm gonna get shot in the face or something. This is gonna be great." This is exactly what I want.
I was
Right
just
up
like,
there.
"I'm gonna get eaten by a rabid coyote or
A
a
mountain.
mountain lion." I was convinced one time I was practicing running up the mountain. Like, sorry, that's my dog
That's fine.
playing with a toy. Um, I was like I could hear rustling in the bushes, and I was just like,
It's a
"It's
bear.
nothing. It's fine." And then I'd run a bit more, and I'd hear more, and I was like, "I'm being stalked. Oh
Yep.
my god."
And there's so many mountain lions in the hills of Santa Barbara, it's not even fucking funny.
Yep.
It's dumb, for sure. I cannot thank you enough for coming on and hanging out with me for an hour and 18 minutes and being my first guest on this lovely podcast. Um,
Honor and a
I'm
privilege.
stoked for sure. Um, I'm also gonna get I'm gonna get some episodes under my belt, and I would definitely love to have you back. And then we're going to probably like I don't know, do a Q and A or just something fucking fun. It'll be great.
Love that. Totally
Awesome.
down.
Awesome.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a party over there.
it
They're like,
is.
feed me.
Oh, I fed him before. I was like, hopefully
I did
that'll
the
keep him
same thing.
quiet.
I was like, don't bug me. Just hang out. Um, Again, I cannot thank you enough. It was so awesome chatting with you, and, we'll catch up soon for sure. Next time I make it down to California, I'm gonna come to Santa Barbara, obviously. I'm gonna come to
Yes, you
the gym,
are.
and let's go get some whole bunch of food that I missed there. Like,
Well, I'm going to be in Seattle for one evening in August.
tell
So
me when. Let me know.
I will.
Yeah, that'd be great. Alright. I hope you have an awesome night, and, we'll chat soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.